The disaster surrounding Snow White is only getting worse and worse, and now we have reached the point where even Disney absolutely livid about everything that is going on with Rachel Zegler, especially with all of the crap that has just started to happen over the past couple of days. As we know, of course, Rachel Zegler has already started to have her cope meltdowns about the fact that this movie is completely falling apart.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at the point? You've worked so hard on it. All right, congrats.
Snow White starring Rachel Zegler opened to a dismal $43 million, the title of the lowest debut weekend for any Disney live-action remake, beating 2019's Dumbo at $46 million. They beat Dumbo. Shame on you, but it's for the worst ever. The article notes this does not count for the 29-year-old live-action remake of 101 Dalmatians, not part of the current cycle. Nevertheless, 1996 remake.
You guys, Disney's new live-action remake Snow White debuted this weekend, and it's an even bigger dud than anticipated.
With the Walt Disney Company already in panic mode over Snow White 2025 just flopping at the box office based on how much they've really poured into the budget on this thing, as well as the marketing expenses that were factored into all of that, along with the merchandise that they actually wasted on, everything to do with Snow White is a failure across the board when it comes to the acting, the producing, the directing, the writing.
I know this point has been made, but this really is the worst casting maybe in the history of the film industry. Has there been a film with worse casting than this? And I don't just mean the Snow White actress. Obviously, she's terrible, but both of them.
It's official. Disney's Snow White remake has been surrounded by intense discussion, with reports suggesting that the backlash is being linked to lead actress Rachel Zegler. But is she really to blame, or is there more to the story? Today, we'll break down the facts and separate speculation from reality. Stay tuned. This might be more surprising than you think.
That's why I cried today on stage. It was like, oh, I didn't get to grieve the project. First of all, when you wrap something, like, there's a grieving process that I did not have. And then I went right on the next thing. But every day on Snow White was a pinch me moment. I was surrounded by the best crew and the best people ever. And even just getting to see our director today was just like, oh, right, we made a movie and it's really wonderful and yummy and it feels delicious in my heart.
Before diving into Rachel Zegler's involvement, let's take a broader look at Disney's recent challenges. Several of the studio's recent projects have struggled at the box office, including other high-profile releases. Some industry reports suggest that when films fail to perform as expected, attention often shifts to individuals involved in the project rather than the bigger picture.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
Oh my God.
And I can only hope.
What does that mean?
That despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Zegler, who is cast as Snow White, has found herself at the center of discussions for various reasons. Some of her statements about modernizing the classic fairy tale drew mixed reactions, with some fans appreciating her perspective while others felt disconnected from the new direction. Reports from insiders claim that tensions may have existed on set and that the studio wasn't entirely pleased with certain media interactions. However, these claims remain speculative, as no official statements have confirmed them.
Star of Snow White, Rachel Zegler, got real quiet on social media after saying that she hoped nothing but bad things happen to not only Donald Trump, but anybody who voted for him. Remember how quiet she got after that? Well, it turns out that there was an emergency meeting at Disney, and they had to fly somebody to New York to reprimand her about her social media use. This is bonkers. This is going to go down as one of the most disastrous flops in Disney history.
But my name is Gal, and I'm Jewish, and we have had enough of Jew hatred.
A major turning point in this controversy came when Zegler reportedly shared her views on certain social and political issues online. While many supporters defended her right to express her opinions, others questioned whether the timing of these statements affected the film's promotional campaign. This added to the already growing discourse around the movie.
I truly do believe that there's something wrong, or she's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
Hollywood has a history of pinning the blame on individuals when a project fails. Whether it's a director, writer, or lead actor, there's always someone who becomes the face of the backlash. Now, Rachel Zegler finds herself in that position with Snow White. The controversy surrounding the film didn't start with Zegler alone. From the moment Disney announced a live-action Snow White, the project faced criticism, whether it was the changes to the original storyline, the removal of the dwarfs, or general skepticism about Disney's live-action remakes. Yet, instead of focusing on these broader factors, much of the negativity has been directed at Zegler's comments and performance. Has this happened before? This isn't the first time Hollywood has chosen an actor as a scapegoat. Remember Anne Hathaway's Les Miserables era? Despite winning an Oscar, she faced massive online hate. The same thing happened with Star Wars actresses Daisy Ridley and Kelly Marie Tran. Both were attacked not because of their performances, but because of fan dissatisfaction with the movies themselves. More recently, Halle Bailey faced similar scrutiny for The Little Mermaid. The film performed decently at the box office, yet much of the discourse online centered around her casting rather than the film's overall execution. Now, Rachel Zegler is going through the same ordeal. Old interview clips are being taken out of context and spread online to paint her as disrespectful or entitled. But is she really the reason the film is facing backlash? Or is she just the easiest person to blame?
Crying on that stage.
When am I not crying in public? It's so upsetting.
Why were you crying?
Oh my gosh, I saw we didn't even see, but I saw the logo and I went, that's my name, Snow White's up there, and I cried my eyes out.
Let's talk numbers. Financial projections for Snow White were never sky-high to begin with. Disney's recent live-action films have struggled to generate the same enthusiasm as their animated classics. The Little Mermaid performed decently, but Pinocchio, Dumbo, and Peter Pan and Wendy were either critical or commercial failures. Industry insiders suggest that Disney is now reconsidering its approach to live-action adaptations. But instead of addressing larger concerns, like franchise fatigue, audience disinterest, and weaker marketing strategies, blame is being placed on a single actress. This situation raises a much larger question. Why does Hollywood keep repeating this pattern? Whenever a movie underperforms or generates controversy, it's easier to blame an individual rather than acknowledge structural issues in the industry. Rachel Zegler might be the target today, but history shows that another actor will eventually take her place. At the end of the day, Snow White's fate was likely sealed long before Zegler ever stepped into the role. The real question is whether Hollywood will ever learn to take accountability, or if it will always need a scapegoat.
I got another example of it. Now, this person is not a politician and she's not a newscaster, but she's pretty famous. She's been in the news for bad things over the past few years as far as the right half country is concerned. Her name is Rachel Zegler. Zegler? I don't know. Zegler. Okay. There's something wrong with this person. She's also known as the star of Snow White and the Disney movie. Remember, she was out like a couple years ago being like, there's certainly not going to be a prince rescuing me. I tell you that.